Chapter 3, Section 1, Polynomials, Sums and Differences. In this chapter, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about polynomials, and a polynomial is just a monomial or a finite sum or difference of monomials. So basically what you have here is, for example, 4x squared is a monomial. 3x squared minus 2x minus 4 is a trinomial, and 14, all constants, they're monomials as well. So throughout the chapter, throughout the next few chapters, you're going to be hearing me use a lot of different vocabulary, and I want you to be aware of the vocabulary. So I am on your test going to ask you to classify polynomials. So a one-term polynomial is called a monomial. Monomial is Latin for one. And you know that you're looking at a monomial as if you don't see any addition or subtraction signs. So for example, this is a monomial because I don't see addition or subtraction. But here, this is a trinomial because I do see two subtraction signs. So the first one, this is a monomial. And then a two-term polynomial is called a binomial. Again, bi is Latin, it's a prefix for two, and I see the subtraction sign in here. So you have 3x squared y minus 2x squared y. So there are two terms here. A three-term polynomial is called a trinomial. So here you have your 3x squared minus 2x minus 4. This is the trinomial. A four-term polynomial or more, we're just going to agree to call those polynomials. Poly means many. And so here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 terms in this one polynomial. So technically it would be a pentanomial, but we're just going to agree that anything above 4 is going to be a polynomial. The next thing we'll talk about is the degree of a polynomial. To find the degree of a polynomial, basically what you're going to do is you're going to be looking solely at the exponents. So the degree of a polynomial is the degree of the term with the highest degree in the polynomial, and again the degree are just your exponents. So when you're talking about a monomial, all you're going to do is add up your exponents for your variables. So 3 plus 4 is going to be 7. So the degree of this monomial is 7. But then when you get to anything aside from a monomial, such as binomial, trinomial, quadrinomial, or anything else, what you're going to do is you're going to find the degree of each term and go with the highest degree. So for example, the degree of this first term is 2 plus 1. There is a 1 there. 2 plus 1. So the degree here is 3. And the degree for this term is 2. So the degree of this whole entire binomial is 3 because that's the highest degree term that we see. So for this trinomial, here we have a degree of 2, here we have a degree of 1, and if you don't see a variable, the degree is 0. And so the degree of this whole entire trinomial is 2. So make sure you know how to classify a polynomial, whether it be a monomial, binomial, trinomial, quadrinomial, or a polynomial. And make sure you can tell me the degree of each of the polynomials. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add polynomials, and to add polynomials all you have to do is combine like terms. So here your directions say add, and it says add this trinomial and this trinomial. So another way that you could write this is group this trinomial and plus this trinomial. And in order to add polynomials, again, all you're going to do is find like terms. So we have a 4x squared here and a 7x squared here, so that's going to give us 11x squared. And then we have a 5x and a negative 9x, which is going to be a negative 4x. And then we have a 1 and a 4, which is a 5. So when we combine these two trinomials, we get another trinomial as our answer. And on the test, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to add the polynomials together. So there's your answer for that. And then I'm going to ask you to tell me the classification. The classification is a trinomial. And then I'm going to ask you to tell me the degree, and the degree is 2. Okay, so down here we have 3 binomials that we need to add together. And so to add these binomials together, we're going to find the like terms in each group. So I'm going to start with this one. I have negative 4x squared y. So I'm going to look for all of the x squared y's in each group. So I have negative 4x squared y, 7x squared y, and 5x squared y, which is going to give me a total of 8x squared y. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for all the x, y squares. So I have 1, there is a 1 here, 1xy squared, and negative 9xy squared, and negative 4xy squared, which is going to give me a negative 12xy squared. Now, here I'm going to ask you to classify, and this is going to be a binomial. And then to find the degree, I find the degree of each term. Well, this term has a degree of 3, and this term has a degree of 3, so it has to be a third degree binomial. Alright, so we'll go to subtraction. To subtract polynomials, you're going to cross the line and change the sign, just like we did earlier. Or you can say add the opposite of the entire polynomial being subtracted, and then you just go back to addition. And in red, notice it says be sure to perform the subtraction in the correct order. So, for example, if I give you a word problem like this, and the problem is not actually set up for you, make sure you write this problem correctly, because it says subtract this first trinomial from this trinomial. So the way to write that is going to be 7x squared minus 2x minus 4 minus 3x squared plus 7x minus 1. Now, cross line, change the sign, or add the opposite. You can do this if you want to. It's totally not necessary, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the subtraction sign in between, I'm going to change it to addition, and then I'm going to take the opposite of everything that follows. And then that just takes me back to addition, and I'm going to combine my like terms. So let's start with the x squares first. I have 7x squared plus a negative 3x squared, which is going to give me a 4x squared. And then I have a negative 2x and a negative 7x, which is going to be negative 9x. And then I have a negative 4 plus 1, which is going to give me a negative 3. So again, there's your answer, and this is what I'll ask you to do on the test. I'll ask you to give me the answer, and then I'll ask you to classify it, and this is going to be a trinomial. And then I'll ask you to tell me the degree, and the degree is 2. Okay, what about multiple operations? Well, to perform multiple operations of addition and subtraction, what you're going to do is you're going to change all your subtraction signs to addition. So here's a subtraction sign. I'm going to change it to addition. And I'm going to take the opposite of only the group that follows the subtraction sign. So here we have addition, so we're going to leave all this alone. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine like terms. So let's start with the a squares first. So I have 5a squared negative 2a squared. That's going to be 3a squared. And then I'm going to have negative 2b and a negative 7b, which is going to be negative 9b. And then I have a negative 4 and a negative 3, which is going to be negative 7. To classify, this is a trinomial. And the degree is going to be 2. Alright, so let's look at all these. For the top two, it says to add. So again, when we add these, that's what we're doing. And we're just going to combine like terms. So negative 5t and negative 6t is going to be a negative 11t. And negative 4 and positive 9 is going to give me a positive 5. On the right hand side, to add these two, I have a 9x squared, but I do want these in descending order, so start with your highest degree first. So we have 9x squared, and then we have a negative 3x, and then we have a negative 2. And on the bottom it says subtract, so notice I have to rearrange these because I'm going to subtract the first one from the second one. So we're going to have 7x squared plus 9x plus 8. Minus 3x squared minus x plus 2. Combine your like terms, starting with your highest exponents first. So you have x squared. So 7x squared minus 3x squared is going to be 4x squared. 9x minus a negative 1x is going to give me positive 10x. And then 8 minus 2 is going to give me 6. Okay, so the problem on the right, we're going to do the 2x minus 1 first and take from it the negative 5x squared plus 6x minus 12. Again, you can cross the line, change the sign. I didn't on the previous problem just to show you that you don't have to, but you can if you want to. So then we would add the opposite of everything that follows. Just cross the line, change the sign. Alright, so again we're going to start with the highest exponent, so we have a positive 5x squared, and there's nothing to combine with it. And then we have a 2x and a negative 6x, which is going to be negative 4x. And then I have a negative 1 and a positive 12, which is going to be a positive 11. Alright, let's see if we can pick these out. It says subtract 2x squared minus 7x minus 1 from the sum of x squared plus 9x minus 4 and negative 5x squared minus 7x plus 10. So I know that I have to find the sum of these two problems. So let's write that down. So we'll have x squared plus 9x minus 4 plus negative 5x squared minus 7x plus 10. And then we're going to take from that the 2x squared minus 7x minus 1. And so again, if you want to cross the line, change the sign, you can. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll add the opposite, basically, is what we're doing. Okay, so I want to put all three of these together at the same time. So I'm going to find all of the like terms. I have 1x squared and a negative 5x squared, which is negative 4, and then a negative 2x squared, which is going to be a negative 6x squared. And then if we just go with the x's, we have a 9x and a negative 7x, which is going to be 2x, plus 7x, which is going to be 9x. And then we have a negative 4 and a positive 10, which is going to be 6. And then 6 plus 1 is going to give me 7. Alright, so the one on the bottom is exactly the same. You can cross the line, change the sign if you want to, if it's going to make it easier for you. So I'm going to add the opposite of each one of these, and I'm going to add the opposite of each one of these. So then I'm going to start with the highest exponent. So I have 1n squared and negative 2n squared, which is going to be a negative 1n squared. You can write the 1 or not. And then I have a negative 7n and a positive 3n, which is going to be negative 4n. And then I have a negative 9 and a negative 4, which is negative 13 plus 9, which is going to give me negative 4. Alright, so these last two, order of operations do apply. So we have talked about order of operations, so we need to get rid of these parentheses before we can combine our like terms. So for the problem on the top, I'm going to leave this 12m alone, plus bracket, and then I'm going to can't do anything with the parentheses, so let's just do this. 5m minus 1m, which is going to be 4m. But remember, this minus sign goes here and here. So we have 5m minus 1m, and then you have minus a negative, which is going to be plus 6. Now I can combine the 12m and the 4m, which is going to be 16m plus 6. Okay, the one on the bottom. There's nothing that I can combine inside the parentheses, so I'm just going to basically cross the line, change the sign initially. And then I have a 9xy and a negative 1xy, which is going to give me 8xy, and we're going to keep it in brackets, minus 4x plus y, minus. Same thing here, we're going to add the opposite. So I have a 4y, and there are no like terms here, so we're just going to have 4y minus 2x plus xy minus 6. Okay, so now we're going to again add the opposite, so we're going to change the signs here. And again, this is not mandatory, it's just easier to see. Now, combining like terms, we have an 8xy and a negative 1xy, which is going to be 7xy. And then this should be a y, negative 4y. Alright, so now we have a negative 4x and a positive 2x, which is going to be a negative 2x. And then I have 1y and negative 4y, which is going to be negative 3y. And then I have the plus 6. Alright, so what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to attempt these problems on page 128 and 129. If you need help, look back in the video or look in your book because it's a great resource.